Hari Om. Let us begin. ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्मा तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। So Nachiketa in Kathopanishad has reached to the threshold of Lord Yama, and Lord Yama scared. Imagine Lord Yama being scared. Lord Yama scared that there was a guest and he did not partake in the hospitality provided, was scared of the repercussions of it as a grihastha, and he gives this little kid who was the guest, Atithi, 3 boons. And in these 3 boons, Nachiketa has already asked for the first boon, and intelligently he asks for within that one boon to not just bless his father to be pleasant-minded with peace and restfulness, but he squeezes in that when he sees him come back from Lord Yama's abode, that he is not scared or he is not feeling remorseful of having done whatever he had done. Then in the second boon, he says, he gives an introduction. He says that Swarge loke na bhayam kinchana na tatratvam na jaraya bibheti ubhe tirtva ashanaya pipase shokatiko modate swargaloke. This was the last mantra that we had seen. So he builds the introduction required for his second boon. And there he says that I've heard that the Swargaloka is a very peaceful one, and there is not much of fear because there is no possibility of old age, death, and there is no possibility of it because there is no need for hunger and thirst. Now imagine in our day-to-day life, if hunger and thirst were removed, what would we work for? Because many things that we do, whatever we do, is to have that simple livelihood wherein we are assured that we have food on the table. And in Swargaloka, definitely there is no hunger and thirst. So the efforts put would be for a different cause or a different direction. So he says, this is what I have heard about Svargaloka. Now, moving forward from the 13th mantra, he says, or he asks, if you can, please repeat after me. Satvamagnim, Satvamagnim, Swargyamadhyeshi mrityo, Swargyamadhyeshi mrityo, Prabruhitam, Prabruhitam, Shraddadhanaya mahyam, Shraddadhanaya mahyam, Swargalokaha, Swargalokaha, Amrutatvam bhajante, Amrutatvam bhajante, etadvitiyena, etadvitiyena, vrine varena. So he says, Yetat, this, O Lord Yama, dvitiyena varena aham vrine, that I seek from you as the second boon. And what is it that he is seeking? Sattvam agnim swarga madhyeshi mrityo prabruhitam. He says, O Lord Yama, tell me about that yajna karya, the havan that can be performed in a easy format, because there are so many things that are prescribed. The best of it, which can assure that anybody who does that they can gain to the Svargaloka. Prabruhitam, please tell me about that in complete details. And I'm not asking this, out of any callousness or casual nature. I'm very sincere about asking this. Therefore, he says, Shraddadhanaya mahyam. Just because you have given me boons, 2 boons, therefore I am ending up asking you any which thing that I am asking. Don't consider it that lightly or light-heartedly that I am asking. I am being very sincere. Because Svargaloka amrutatvam bhajante. As long as you are in that Svargaloka, it is the most peaceful experience that any individual can experience. So please give me the boon in understanding that simple but efficient one through which any human being performing it can acquire to that status. So many may ask, is there Svargaloka? It is like asking, is there a dream world? Because dream world cannot be proven. Right? You have that experience, but it cannot be proven that it happened or it did not happen. Because it is a different realm of experience. Similarly, as we experience here the waking, dream and deep sleep, similarly there is the other planes of consciousness, and those other planes, there are some which are subtler and higher, there are some which are grosser and lower. Those which are higher are called Swarga, those which are grosser are called Naraka. So one day I was in the ashram, and this person asks me, Swamiji, do you believe in ghosts? Do you believe in bhoot? So I said, of course I believe in bhoot. Because if I can believe you, why not in bhoot? The person took it very offended. What do you mean? So I said, look, you are Pancha Mahabhuta. You are Pancha Mahabhuta. And if you think that this realm is a reality, then there is Swarga and Naraka. But for the one who has transcended this experience that this is not real, but this is something which is divine, for such one, there is no need for Swarga or Naraka. Until then, it's a point of reference. If this is real, and experiencing it as reality, then that realm is also real. So this was, I think, probably answered. So having heard this with sincerity from Nachiketa, Lord Yama starts answering it. So he says in the 14th mantra, it's on page number 29. So Lord Yama says, Prate bravimi, prate bravimi, tadume nibodha, swargyamagnim, nachiketah prajanan, anantalokaptim, atho pratishtham, विद्धित्वमेतं निहितं गुहायाम. It seems like not many people visit Yama. Why would you want an appointment with Yama? People are scared of death, right? Why would you want to meet the Lord of Death? So it seems like not many people come to meet him, and not just that, not many people come to discuss such things with him. And there is this kid who is so brave, courageous, standing in front of him. In fact, Lord Yama was not long ago a little scared of this kid too. And with the first boon, it seems like Lord Yama was very impressed the way he asked it. As soon as he asked about the Swarga and how to attain that Swarga, Lord Yama, in his excitement, he says, Prate. Pra is used, is like, Bas, abhi batata hu. Like, just that, I'll tell you right away. So Lord Yama was also excited to have a student and have a dialogue with him on such concepts. I don't know about you, but sometimes after speaking in English for a complete day, like or 2 days completely, you speak in English. When I speak to somebody in Hindi, I feel such that one person, if I can meet, that I can speak in English. Not that I go searching, right? It happens so. I feel so elated. Kisi se to I can speak in a language that I am very comfortable. Similarly, if there is somebody, some concepts that you want, that you are very good at and you can speak and you can share, but there is nobody who can understand or even cares for it. Nobody is, time for it. And here is a kid who is interested in it and very sincerely asking for it. So Lord Yama is excited. Prate bravimi. Right away I will tell it to you. Tadume nibodha. Nachiketa, learn it with sincerity. Swargyam agnim nachiketah prajanan. Hey Nachiketa, understand this Agni Karya, the Yajna Karya, with which people who perform it will definitely reach to Swarga Loka. Ananta Lokaptim Atho Pratistham. And this is what it means when they say that you will acquire Ananta Loka. Ananta Loka, there are two meanings to it. That the Swarga itself is Ananta. As long as this world exists, that will also exist. There is no end to it. As far as the experience of the individual who is reaching, it seems eternal because the experiences that we have been having for lifetime here are so temporary, so transient, that experience seems in comparison to this as eternal. Sometimes you have to choose your words. If there is something eternal and it is boring, it is not a place that you want to be. Like I was in this college back in India, and I was to address those group of students, and I was asked to sit along with them, and the director or whoever of the institution was to introduce me. So on the table, on the, what do you call, the arm rest where you can write. So on that, there was this, somebody had etched it out. It was not written, it was etched. So you can imagine how much time that person must have spent on that table to etch that out. It was a burial ground, a tree, a very feeble tree, under which there was a, what do you call that, tombstone, a tombstone and a tomb, and then on that tombstone, like, they leave a word or something. So on that tombstone was written, dedicated to all those who have died in this boring English class. Man, that fellow must have really gotten bored to do this creative artwork. It seems like eternity, right? It doesn't end. Boring goes on and on and on. It doesn't seem to end. But this is what is called the eternal heaven of bliss, where you can experience that joy. So please listen to this, with, putting yourself at the seat of sincerity, meaning listen to this with your complete heart into it. So he says, it seems like, they have not explained the entire, Agni Karya portion, because the moment you include that into here, then this would become Aranyaka, Upasana Kanda, rather than Upanishad. So the segment which is just before this Upanishad in the Vedas, it explains this Agni. And it's like a continuation from there that this story is developed. That Agni was given to Nachiketa because this is the incident that happened and this was the dialogue between them. So if you are interested in Swarga and in doing that Agni Karya, please go refer the Kathaka Kanda, the segment just before this Upanishad, and you will find that Agni Karya. What, you are not going to explain? No, I am not going to indulge you in that. Because that is not the part of the Upanishad. So it seems to be a process which was already explained. And in a summary, the Rishi here is capturing the moment once that whole transfer of knowledge was done. So what happened then? So the Rishi is speaking. He says, repeat after me the 15th mantra, page 31. Lokadimagnim tamuvacha tasmai ya ishtika yavatirva yathava sachapi tat pratyavadat yathoktam athasya mrityuhu punarevaha tushtaha. Lokadim agnim tamuvacha tasmai. Unto this Nachiketa, Lord Yama gave the entire process in detail. Now, what is the detail that we are talking about? Today, we may not understand it because the Havan or the Yajna Karya that is done, I sometimes feel that the sanctity is gone. Because some kind of Aish Homa or something was being done and they said, Swamiji, come bless my child. And it is at our home and it is our birthday, so come and bless the child. So I went there. What I saw instead of a Havan Kund, because you get these copper Havan Kunds also, which are in a proper measurement. What I saw was something even hilarious. It was an aluminum tray. And that aluminum tray was stuck in the chimney, the fireplace. And in that fireplace, they were going to perform this yajna, or they had already started this yajna. I said, how hilarious can you do stuff? A poor priest. He had to hear my earful after that. I said, they may want it that, but you cannot simplify it. You have to follow what has to be followed. Because there are rules, there are some regulations. The number of bricks that are taken to build, the shape that is designed for a specific kind of a yajna, the depth that is required for the yajna. You keep offering it, and there are people that are offering, there are 4 or 5 of them, and they keep offering these logs of wood, and the depth is not calculated, and it keeps piling up. It's dangerous. See, all these calculations have to go in. So he says, Ya Ishtaka. Ishtaka is the brick. Yavatirva. And along with the mantras, what kind of a mantra has to be chanted, what kind of a log or the havish has to be offered, whether it is rice or whether it is a sweet pudding or whatever is to be offered. The entire list of details along with its coordinating mantra and what kind of process that has to be observed in offering. Yathava, etc. So you learned a new word today. When you want to say etc. So you can say yathava. Very recently we also developed a new word. What's that? No. That is not that. That is an English word that I have learned. This is a Sanskrit substitute. Like for etc. Yathava is a Sanskrit substitute. There was another word that we recently we say cheers, right? It sounds very rajasic. So I say, the same thing in Sanskritam would be swasti. Swasti meaning the same concept of cheers and well-being or a toast or something, but swasti. So you can lift your glass and say swasti. Everybody will look at you. What the heck are you talking? It means cheers. So etc. Yathava. So when all these lists and the whole elaborate process was described, this little kid Nachiketa, so smart, he did not have any recording devices. He did not have even a paper and pen to jot things down. Just to be sure that what he has learnt and what he has heard are the right things. Pratyavadat yatha uktam. He repeated the entire process immediately to Lord Yama, saying, did I learn it right? Now, first thing, little cute kid, okay, is hardly about 6-7 years old. A little cute kid. And the one who has been very courageous in not accepting hospitality because his father said, go meet Yama only. He waited for him. Impressive. Cute is already, he is impressed. And his courage to stand there without food and water, completely flattened. And the first boon that he asked, it is not just cute, but add to that cuteness, smartness also. The way he put in that first boon itself, a boon for him to get back home to. He was amused. And now he's sharp. He's so sharp that he memorized the entire process and he repeated the entire process to Yama. Yama was super impressed. I don't know what Yama did. He must have gotten down on his knees and hold his cheek and said, oh, so good. I'm imagining here. Please indulge me. Imagine yourself, like a 5-6 year old, say you have taught them how to repeat 5-6 Bhagavad Gita shlokas. And the kid comes from a blank slate, doesn't know what Bhagavad Gita is. But as soon as you're done, they hold your hand and say, can I repeat it for you? And without looking into the book, repeats the whole thing. What do? You're so touched and overwhelmed and So Lord Yama is in that position. To such an impressive kid, the impressed Yama, Punarevaha Tushtaha, he was super satisfied with this kid. So Punarevaha, he said something. What did he say? Tam abravit. Okay, 32 page number, 16th mantra. Repeat after me. Tam abravit. You don't need to chant in the same Shruti. Chant it for the sake of chanting it. Tam abravit. Priyamano Mahatma. Varam tavehadya. Dadami bhuyah. Tavaiva namna. Bhavitayamagnihi. Srinkam cha imam. Aneka rupam. Grihana. He was so impressed with this kid, and he felt, when you're happy, when you want to express that happiness, you give something to express all that joy. And he wanted to give something, very precious to this kid. So he said, you know what? I'm so impressed with this, and I feel so endeared, listening to you repeat all this. I'll give you another boon. I'm already giving you 3 boons. I'll add a 4th one also. Lord Yama must have been probably we are just scared because he is Lord of Death. Maybe he is also very endearing personality. So he was so touched that he said, I'll give you another boon. And if this were to be said in Hindi, तू भी क्या याद रखेगा किस रईस से पाला पड़ा ले एक और boon. And then he felt that it was not sufficient. So he looked around and he was wearing a beautiful necklace. He said, Srinkam cha imam. Like if you have seen old movies, like the Pauranic movies, the king gets a good news. So what does the king do? He pulls out his necklace and says, take. So he also pulls out his beautiful necklace that he was wearing and adorns that Nachiketa. And he says, you can have this. This is my most precious one. People would die to get this and giving you. And still he was not very pleased in all that he was giving to Nachiketa because he was that impressed by him. You know what? I'll add one more thing. This particular Agni which you have learnt, henceforth will be known by the name as Nachiketa Agni for eternity. Second boon, and in that second boon to fulfill, he fulfilled it, repeated it, and because he was so impressed, he got one more boon, one extra mala, and then that which he had learnt would be named after Nachiketa. Like people make a big celebratory thing when a street is named out after somebody that you adore or like. For that matter, if this Davenport Road was named as Chinmaya Marga, I would be elated. I would be super happy. Now, for eternity, this particular method would be named after Nachiketa. But the kid was not, taken aback, and he felt super joyous, or he politely said, "Thank you, gracias." And he didn't say much. A very balanced kid. Very rarely you see such breed. And then he continues. Lord Yama continues to say what are the benefits of those who uh, perform this Nachiketa Agni. So he says in the 17th mantra, next page 34, repeat after me. Trinachiketaha Tribhiretya Sandhim Trikarmakrit Tarati Janma Mrityu Brahmajagnyam Devamediam Viditva Nichayemam Shantimatyantameti. It says, those who perform this Trinachiketa Agni and do it as prescribed, no shortcuts, no alternatives, as prescribed to the word that has been given. Such people, they will cross Janma Mrityu. They will cross this Janma Mrityu, the bondage of Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam. How? See, in realization, in getting Jivan Mukti, there are two methods. One method is called Sadhyo Mukti. Sadhyo Mukti is realizing that Brahman that I am here and now. Sadhya meaning right now. This is called immediate. Right here, right now. Then the second method is called Krama Mukti. Krama Mukti is like, it has a ladder, it has a step process that you acquire the higher state of existence. You will not come back to this Bhuloka again, but you have not acquired enough to cross over into that, the state of Paramatma. You're intermediary somewhere. So in that intermediary stage, you reach to the Brahma Loka. And there, you get the opportunity to listen from directly Brahmaji as an instructor. And there, you merge, once the creation, this cycle of creation comes to an end, then you merge into that Paramatma. Until then, you have the opportunity to listen directly from Brahmaji. When I tell this in a different way, this seems very simple. The way I explain it is, listen. Either you listen to this 1.5 hour satsangs here and get mukti now, or else you will have to listen to Brahmaji's satsang 24/7 without a break until this creation cycle ends. Which seems simpler and easier? So hurry up. But he says that people who follow this yajna will reach to that Brahma Loka. From there, they will not slip down again back into this material world, but from there they will be blessed to have the opportunity to merge into that Paramatma and achieve that Paramam Shantim, the greatest bliss and peace. And probably Lord Yama was still reveling in, so he continues. He continues in the next two mantras. He says, so page 36 and 37, we'll do both mantras together. So repeat after me. Trinachiketaha. Oh, my pitch was high, right? Let me try a lower pitch. Trinachiketaha. Oh, you can chant. Trayametad viditva ya evam vidvans chinute nachiketam samrityupashan puratah pranodya शोकातिगो मोदते स्वर्गलोके येषते अग्निर्नचिकेतः स्वर्ग्यः यमवृणीथा द्वितीयेन वरेण एतमग्निं तवैव प्रवक्षन्ति जनासः तृतीयं वरं नचिकेतो वृणीष्व. So he says, Trinachiketaha Trayam viditva. Actually, it hurts to chant in a lower pitch. Ya evam viditva vidvan chinute nachiketam. Having learnt this and regularly practice this, I, the Lord of Death, promise you that those who practice this, that I will not trouble them. I will personally usher them to that Brahmaloka. Or kya? That Lord of Death himself will come in his chariot to take you to that Brahmaloka. He will be the guard of honor. Sab mrityu pashan puratah pranodya. He will be relieved from mrityu. Shokatigaha. Shokatigaha. They will go beyond all limitations and sorrow. And from that Svargaloka, they can merge into that Brahman. He says, if I have not said so earlier, remember, this particular the yaga or havan agni karya will be remembered after you by your name as Trinachiketa Agni. This is your second boon granted. Now ask for the third one. Hey Nachiketa, Tritiyam Varam Vrinishva. Ask for the third boon. Nachiketa is like, yes, I will. So he says he asks in the 20th mantra, page 39. Yeyam prete vichikitsa manushye astityeke nayamastiti CHYKs ye tadvidyam anushishtastvayaham varanam yesha varastritiyaha. Of all the varas, of all the boons, the third one, this is what I seek. What is that? He says, Yeyam prete, when somebody is dead from the mortal world, the human world, they say, Asti iti eke, na asti iti eke. Some say that there is afterworld. Some say that it is done. There is no afterworld. This is Nachiketa talking to Yama in the Upanishads. So it is not a new trend or a new belief system when some religions believe that there is only one life and break it or make it. Otherwise, you are damned for hell to eternity. That's what they say. That's what I've heard. Why? There was somebody at my door recently too, about 2 weeks ago. And the first opening statement is, I have come to save you. Jesus is the savior. So the joke that was hitting in my head, the top on the list was, yes, Jesus saves, but Pope spends. I was itching to tell that. If you believe any other God and not follow this one true God, have this Bible, read it. So I invited him in, gave him a glass of water, allowed him speak for 5 minutes. Then I took charge, spoke for 25 minutes, gave him my Bhagavad Gita. I said, read this. If you have any questions, I am here to save you. You don't need somebody up there to save you. I am sufficient to save you. Come back if you have any questions. I'm sure that fellow is not going to come back again. I was very polite. I was not rude. I was treating him well. I gave what Vedanta says as a perspective of Hinduism. Gave him to read the subtle science of the inner world. I gave him a small copy of Bhagavad Gita written by Gurudev. I said, if you have any doubts, I stay in this address. You can come back anytime. It is not just today in this kind of a modern world wherein you have that kind of an opinion. Even in those days, there were some traditions which believed that there is only this life and there is nothing afterwards. This is one set of meaning. There is another set of meaning is, there are those who believe in everything to be shunya, void. Nothing is real. Whatever is being experienced is just in the thought level, and what is just void. And reaching that void, this is the Buddha, Jaina, and such thoughts. And Buddha, Jaina are recent. Nachiketa and Yama's dialogue is ancient. Even in those days, there were people who thought that way. Now, this particular mantra, the bhashya and explanations, if I go into the details of various interpretations, this mantra alone I can probably be taking for next 6-7 classes. In what various traditions and various belief systems, and how Vedanta saying that there is one Paramatma who is expressing into these multiple forms, and reaching that is the final goal, can be proven. But let's not go into too much of technical details. Let's keep it as plain, simple, understandable, and that which is useful for us at this moment. Now, if you look at the patterns of these 3 boons asked, in the third boon, what exactly is asking? Tell me about that having reached where there is no coming back. Tell me if there is that Paramatma. I have grown in a Gurukula. They talk of Paramatma, but there are other schools of thought who say that there is only void or there is no Paramatma. What exactly is it? Whatever is that, if you know, please lead me to that. So if you see these 3 boons that have been asked, what an awareful, conscious child he was. First, he showed his super responsibility towards his father. Right? Even when he was in the Bhuloka, he said, my father should not be doing such kind of things. And this particular yaga, he has to give his best of the things in a charity, but he is giving all the dried ones or those which are not worthy of giving charity. Because somehow, when people give in charity, if you have ever been to temples, that is one duty that we never looked forward for. is, in Bombay, our ashram, when Shivaratri is celebrated, the queue starts right in the morning, 4 o'clock. You have couple of you have been to Sandipini Sadhanalaya, right? In Bombay. So there is a beautiful Shiva, the best Shiva that I have ever seen. So beautiful, absorbed in meditation. And on Shivaratri, he looks even more special with all the decoration, and this is different presence there. And there are lakhs of people that come. Pardon my Indian usage of number system. Whatever it is, you translate it into your. This lakh is 100,000? 100,000. And the queue starts, people start lining up right since morning, 4 o'clock, first darshan. So imagine if each person dropping something in the hundi, the coin box. How much would be collected? We have to change that hundi, a big size one, at least 6-7 times. It is taken in guarded place, and all brahmacharis sit there to count the next day. The first day itself we are battered because we are the previous night to Shivaratri we have to make all the decorations and arrangement. Shivaratri day we have to stay awake the whole night, and the next day is counting. We never looked forward for that job because we are already tired, and the job given is least interesting because people are giving charity, and what are they putting there? All the currency which cannot be taken in any other shops or interactions. Torn, pieced, butchered, pieced, taped together. All that is dropped in there. Right? Charity Bhagwan ke liye. All that. When this ashram started, many people were interested, oh, you don't need to buy stuff for the ashram. We can ask people to donate. I said, Baba, don't do that. Because people would use this as a dumping yard. Because once I had done that mistake earlier. We had opened this ashram and we had allowed people to. You can see those springs in the couch which are poking out, and they donate that. That's charity. And the most hurtful thing in that is they ask for the receipt so that they can take it as a tax deductible. To clean up that mess of all people have dumped, it costs us more. Why ask for it? Make a rule that anything that is given into the ashram, it will be a new one. Otherwise, we will have these kind of charities given, which are not that good. So he showed his responsibility in voicing his concern to his dad, in spite of knowing the fact that he may get angry. Now the first boon, he fulfills his responsibility towards his parents. My parents, I know, must have been feeling really bad. It was a bad moment that my father said what he said, and he would be ridden with guilt. May he be peaceful. As a child, what is my responsibility? My first responsibility is towards my parents. And he fulfills that responsibility in his first boon. Being a part of this society, being a part of this humanity, my second responsibility is towards the entire humanity. Something that I should contribute to this humanity, which is a worthwhile contribution, that it eases them from their misery and provides them a scope, a hope for peace and joy. So he learns this yajna karya, so that he can distribute it, he can populate it and give it to people, saying that you will be promised of this swarga. So first responsibility is towards his home and family. Second responsibility is towards humanity. And the third boon, he asks for himself, for his moksha. Now, what a systematic kid. Think about it. Maybe do a workshop or something on this. If God were to appear here right now and ask of you to choose three boons, what would we choose? Many of us would be so confused because so many things will flood in. And give them a time limit that you have about 30 seconds to decide, or you have about 40 seconds to decide. Write down quickly and then analyze what people have written down. You will be amazed, shocked even. I probably will ask God Xbox. I'll ask for, depending on what age group you ask, I'll ask God for immense amount of wealth. I'll ask God for some superpower. We are all crazy about these superheroes with superpowers. I would want to be invisible. To what? You are anyway insignificant to be invisible otherwise too. You don't need a boon for that to be invisible. You are a speck of nothing. You are invisible. No, I want to be invisible. Any ideas what other superpowers that people may ask? So I want to fly. I want to touch the sky. I want to fly. Is there a song like that? Right? I believe I can fly. Oh, that's where I must have picked it from. I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. Or I can morph different shapes. Shapeshifter. Now stop applying makeup. You will shift shapes. Or stop shaving. People will not recognize you. You shifted shape. All things that people ask. And look at this fellow, that he was not expecting to be given these boons. That as soon as Yama came in and he said, I have been bad host, I have not provided hospitality to you, I'd give you 3 boons, what would you want? I said, okay, in that case, first, my responsibility towards my parents is delivered. Second, my responsibility towards the entire humanity is delivered. Third, I want moksha. That knowledge, knowing which I am not bound in any way. The responsibility towards himself for that ultimate thing. He must have thought through all these things in his earlier life. Meaning in his childhood, he must have been thinking on these lines. Otherwise, it is not easy to think of it on the spur of a moment. To give it in such a logical order. That shows the preparedness and the maturity of the student here. Many times 80% of our life has gone by and then we realize, oh gosh, what happened? Life just passed by. What did I do? Even when the knowledge is given and said that realize your potentiality now and make the best use of it. Sometimes, the Yuva Kendra members or YEP students, they send a message saying, when we were going through the course or the camp, we were feeling super inspired that this is it. But somehow now, after coming back after 2 months, it doesn't feel the same. That conviction is gone because our steadiness in practice, in our contemplation, is lacking. It is not a one-time job. If you want to build a muscle, if you want to build these muscles, right? You go one day to the gym and spend excessive 10-12 hours. You have experience. What happens? Rhabdomyolysis. It's scary. Don't even ask what happens. You cannot do that. It has to be a consistent effort over a period of time, and then you continue doing it to maintain it in that shape. So contemplation, puja, japa is not a one-time job that you do and you realize and you're done with. Until you reach there, you consistently maintain it. It is not the quantity, it is the quality and the intensity with which that quality is maintained. The consistency with which that quality is maintained. So this kid must have maintained that kind of a consistency that when he got that opportunity, the streamlined way of thinking, an organized way of thinking, a disciplined way of life reflects in what he is asking. He understood what priorities of life meant. And he gives out those priorities in the right order. He is not jammed up here. Oh gosh, wait, 3 boons, huh? What do I ask? Chana batana? No. He has been contemplating on it and he exactly knows that this is what is worth my life. If I have to ask for these things only. If I have to know, I have to know these things only. If I have to do, I have to do these things only. Nothing else deviates. Now another shocker for poor Yama. He never gets such students. When the student that he got, he has asked for and he showed his smartness and brilliance. The second boon, he showed his compassion for his humanity that he is coming from. And the third one, imagine a 6-year-old coming to you and said, Bhaiya, Didi, can you tell me what is the best method for moksha? What will you say? Take that Xbox, go play. You don't know what that kid is coming as a background from, right? So Lord Yama thinks that, is he really qualified for this? He's too young. Will he understand? Does he even know what he is asking? So what Lord Yama does to him, puts him through, we will see next week. Before he gets into the third boon. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.